Simone Davies woke up feeling cold. Not the kind of December chill that slipped through the cracks of old windows in the city, but an inner cold. It's that feeling you get when you realize you're sleeping next to a stranger. She turned on her side and looked at her husband. Darnell or D was curled away from her facing the wall and wrapped tight in the comforter. Whether he was asleep or pretending didn't matter. Simone quietly got out of bed, slipped on her robe and went to the kitchen. It was still dark outside. December had just passed the halfway mark. New Year's was 2 weeks away. 2 weeks to get everything done. Simone turned on the electric kettle and checked her phone. It was 5:30 in the morning early, but she couldn't fall back asleep anyway. Her head was buzzing with to-do lists, groceries, presents, cleaning, cooking. This was their first New Year's in their own condo, her condo. That word still warmed her heart, even though 6 months had passed since the purchase. It was a 2-bedroom unit in a solid older building. Not downtown, but a respectable neighborhood. The mortgage was set for 20 years. The monthly payment was $2,750. Simone paid $1,850 and Dee paid $900. She had paid the $80,000 down payment entirely from her own savings, bonuses, and side hustle money she'd put away for several years. Da had only pitched in $20,000, but the condo was only in Simone's name. She had bought it 2 months before the wedding. Her lawyer had advised her that anything purchased before the official registration of marriage remained her sole personal property. Simone had listened just in case. Now she knew she was right to listen. The kettle whistled. Simone brewed a strong cup of coffee and sat by the window. The city was just starting to wake up. Occasional cars drove by and the streetlights were still on. She looked out at the snow-dusted yards and wondered how much had changed in 6 months. When they moved in, Da had been happy, hugging her, kissing her, saying, "Thank you, baby. You're the best for insisting we buy this. I would have put it off forever." Simone believed him. She truly believed they would have their nest now, that they would live together in harmony and build a home. But then the visits from her mother-in-law, Brenda Jenkins, started. Brenda was a woman in her early 60s, a retired math teacher, short, stout, with a cropped haircut and a perpetually displeased expression. After retiring, she seemed to decide her free time should be dedicated to supervising her son's life. She called 3 times a day, came over without warning, and offered advice on everything. The first visit was a week after they moved in. Simone was cleaning the kitchen when the doorbell rang. Da opened it. Standing on the porch was Brenda Jenkins holding grocery bags. "Deed, my sweet boy. I made you some good mac and cheese and brought a pot roast," she announced, not even bothering to say hello. "I bet your wife doesn't know how to feed you, right?" Simone came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "Hello, Brenda. Thank you for thinking of us, but I cook our meals." Brenda gave her a quick critical look. "We'll see about that. My D is picky. He won't eat just any old cooking." Da stayed silent, took the bags and carried them to the kitchen. Simone stood in the hallway, feeling her chest tighten, but she said nothing. She didn't want to fight in their first week. Brenda marched into the living room, took off her coat and looked around. "It's small in here. Di wanted a 3-bedroom, remember? But you insisted on a 2-bedroom. Now there's no room to stretch out." Simone clenched her fists. "We chose it together. A 3-bedroom was outside of our budget. The mortgage would have been too high." "Budget? Schmudge?" Brenda waved her hand dismissively. "Deed makes good money. You could have handled it. Now what about when the babies come? Where are you going to put them?" Simone didn't answer. Children. She and Dee hadn't really discussed them yet. They planned to wait a couple of years until they sorted out the mortgage and were financially stable. But Brenda had already hinted several times that it was time for grandchildren. The mother-in-law stayed for 2 hours walking around the condo, touching things and commenting. "These curtains look cheap. You need to change them. That refrigerator is too small. Where are you going to keep your food? That sofa color is all wrong. It's too light. It'll get dirty fast." Dee remained silent. Simone endured it. When Brenda finally left, Simone went to her husband. "Dee, can you please tell your mother not to act like that? This is our condo, our home. I don't appreciate her criticizing everything." Dee shrugged. "Don't start, Simone. That's my mother. She's just worried about us. She's trying to help. Just get used to it." "Get used to it." Simone had heard that phrase before, and it wouldn't be the last time. Brenda's visits became more frequent. Once a week, then twice. She would come in, inspect the condo, and issue instructions. Simone, why did you put out that tablecloth? It's too bright. It hurts my eyes. Simone, your food is too greasy. Dave's going to gain weight. Simone, you've got dust on the shelves. You need to clean more often. Dee never intervened. If Simone tried to discuss his mother's behavior, he brushed her off. Don't pay her any mind. That's just the way she is. She'll calm down soon. But Brenda didn't calm down. With every visit, things only got worse. October turned into November. Simone worked as an accountant for a mid-sized trading firm. Her bosses were fair. She was a reliable worker who submitted reports on time. Her salary was stable at $5,000 a month. Of that, $1,850 went to the mortgage, $750 went to utilities, and the rest covered food, clothes, and household needs. Saving money was nearly impossible. Dee worked as a sales manager for a construction company, making a bit more, about $5,800. Of that, he contributed $900 to the mortgage and spent the rest on himself, gas, cigarettes, and meeting up with friends. Simone didn't object. She figured since she was paying most of the condo, she had the right to make the rules. Still, a quiet anger simmered inside her sometimes. Why was he contributing so little? Why was she busting her butt and cutting corners while he was enjoying himself? But she kept quiet, not wanting to fight. In mid-November, Brenda came with a new proposal. Dee, I've been thinking. Maybe I should move in with you too, she said, sitting in the kitchen drinking tea. I'm lonely living by myself. My house is big, but it's empty. At least here I'd be with you. I can watch the grandbabies when they show up. Simone froze. Move in. Her mother-in-law wanted to move in. Dee scratched the back of his neck. Mom, it's only a 2-bedroom. It's kind of small for us already. So what? Brenda insisted. I'll be in one room. You'll be in the other. There's plenty of space. Plus I'll help you out. Cook, clean, take care of the house. Simone couldn't take it anymore. Brenda, that's impossible. We truly don't have the space and we're used to living alone. Brenda looked at her with cold contempt. Nobody asked you. My son makes the decisions here. Dee, what do you say? Dee hesitated. Mom, let us think about it. It's a serious thing. We'll think. We'll think. Brenda scoffed, clearly annoyed. Just don't take too long. I'll be waiting. Simone retreated to the bedroom, slammed the door, sat on the bed, and buried her face in her hands. If Brenda moved in, her life would be hell. Constant scrutiny, nagging, and orders. No, that was not going to happen. That evening, she confronted Dee. I don't want your mother living with us. I'm sorry, but this is my condo. I bought it. I decide who lives here. Dee frowned. Your condo. We're family, Simone. Everything is shared. No, it's not shared. The condo is in my name. I bought it before we got married. Legally, it's my property. Dee went pale. Are you serious? You mean you could just kick me out if you wanted to? I'm not planning to kick you out, but I'm also not going to let your mother move in here. You need to understand this is our space. If she lives here, we won't last. Dee was silent for a moment, then nodded. Fine, I'll tell her it's not going to work. Simone let out a sigh of relief, but the peace was short-lived. The next day, Brenda called her at work. Simone, it's Brenda. I wanted to talk to you. Simone tensed up. I'm listening. Dee told me you're against me moving in. You know, I understand. A young couple wants to be alone, but you know, I'm his mother. I have the right to see my son. Of course, Brenda. Come visit anytime you want. Well, that's just fine. Then I'll come over more often. Since you don't want to let me move in permanently, I'll just start coming every day. Simone went cold. Every day. And Brenda wasn't lying. For the last 3 weeks of November, she came every single day. The doorbell would ring at 6 o'clock in the evening. Brenda would be on the doorstep with bags or without. She'd walk in, sit down, and start the interrogation. Dee, how's work? Simone, what are you making for dinner? Why so late? A man comes home hungry. Simone clenched her teeth and kept silent. Dee stayed out of it. Brenda would stay for 2 or 3 hours, not leaving until 9 o'clock. Simone couldn't get anything done. She came home tired from work, wanting to eat a quiet dinner and relax. But there was Brenda. And every evening it was the same thing. In early December, Simone hit her limit. She came home from work, saw Brenda in the kitchen, turned around and went straight to the bedroom. She lay on the bed, burying her face in the pillow. Tears welled up, but she wouldn't let them fall. Not here. Not now. Dee came in half an hour later. Simone, what's wrong? Mom was offended you didn't even say hello. Dee, I can't do this anymore. She comes over every single day. Every day. I can't relax. I'm always on edge. Well, tell her that. I did. She doesn't listen. You have to tell her. She's your mother. Dee sighed. All right, I'll try. But the attempt led nowhere. Brenda was offended and threw a tantrum. So that's it. Your wife is more important than your mother. I spent my whole life on you and now you're throwing me out. Dee gave up. The daily visits continued. Simone realized she couldn't live like this. Something had to change. But what? December was moving fast. New Year's was 2 weeks away. Simone decided to focus on planning the holiday. The first New Year's in her condo. She wanted everything to be perfect. A beautiful table, generous gifts, a cozy atmosphere. She made a list of dishes. Salads, candied yams, green bean casserole, a 7-layer salad. The main course, a roasted turkey with an herb glaze. Appetizers, baked shrimp, homemade sushi rolls, a cheese board, pâté tarts, dessert, sweet potato pie, using her grandmother's secret recipe. Simone worked out the budget, about $300 for groceries plus gifts. Dee had been dreaming of a new phone for a long time. The latest model smartphone he'd been checking out in stores. The price, $1,000, almost Simone's entire salary. But she decided, I'll buy it. Let him see just once that his wife valued him and tried to do something special for him. For Brenda, she chose leather boots. Brenda had complained several times that her old ones had fallen apart and new ones were too expensive. Simone found a nice pair for $500. Genuine leather, warm winter boots, a respectable gift. The total came to $1,800. More than her paycheck. She'd have to dip into her savings. But Simone didn't regret it. She wanted this holiday to be unforgettable. On Friday, December 20th, Simone left work early. She drove to the big mall, went to the electronics store. The consultant showed her the right phone model. Simone held the box, turning it over in her hands. It was sleek, modern, exactly what Dee wanted. I'll take it, she said, paying with her card. $1,000 came out of her account. Simone checked her balance. $3,000 remaining, enough for the boots and the groceries. From the electronics store, she went to the shoe salon. She chose the boots for Brenda. A classic black leather style with a small heel. Brenda should appreciate them. The saleswoman packed the purchase in a nice box and handed her the receipt. $500. Simone paid and stepped outside. The cold air stung her cheeks, but she felt warm inside. 2 gifts were ready. All that was left was to buy the groceries and prepare the holiday dinner. At home, she hid the boxes on a shelf in the entryway closet. Dee wasn't back from work yet. Simone went to the kitchen, got her notepad and started making a detailed shopping list. Argentine shrimp for at $20 a pound, $80. Farm-raised turkey, $50. Cheeses, brie, $45. Vegetables, fruits, herbs, $70 more. Salad ingredients. Mayonnaise, eggs, fake crab meat, fish for rolls, seaweed, rice, $40. Cake ingredients, $15. Total about $260. She had $3,000 left after buying the gifts. She'd have to use the last of her smaller savings. Dee came home late, around 10 p.m., tired and rumpled. He took off his jacket, went to the kitchen and sat down at the table. Got any dinner? He asked. Simone took some soup from the fridge and warmed it up. Dee ate silently without looking up. Simone watched him and wondered when he had become so distant. They used to talk, sharing the day's news. Now he just came home, ate and disappeared into the living room, staring at his phone. Dee, how was work? She asked. Fine. Crazy rush. Everyone wants to close deals before New Year's. I get it. Listen, I've been thinking about the holiday. I want to make a beautiful dinner. Is your mom coming? Dee finally looked up. Yeah, she's coming. I already told her. She'll be here at 6. Okay, I'll prepare everything. Dee nodded, finished his soup, took his plate to the sink and left for the living room. Simone stayed in the kitchen, sat by the window, and watched the night city. Snowflakes swirled outside the glass. The streets were emptying, and lights were going out in the houses. Simone hugged herself. It was cold. Why was she so cold? On Saturday, December 21st, Simone drove to the market for groceries. She brought a big rolling cart. The market was packed. Everyone was stocking up for the holiday. Simone squeezed between the stalls, selecting her items. Large Argentine shrimp, for pounds. The vendor weighed them and put them in a bag, $80. A chilled farm-raised turkey, $50. Cheeses in the specialty section. Soft brie with mold. Hard Parmesan. Vegetables. Tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, onions, carrots, potatoes, beets. $35. Herbs, dill, parsley, cilantro, lettuce. $5. Fruits. Apples for the turkey, lemons for the shrimp, tangerines for the atmosphere. $12. The woman at the vegetable stand, a plump lady in a knitted hat, was packing the bags and saying, "Getting ready for the holidays, sweetie. Looks like you're doing it big." Trying to. Simone smiled. That's right. New Year's only comes once a year. You got to celebrate nice. Simone paid and drove home. Dee wasn't there. He'd gone to his mother's house that morning. Simone unpacked the groceries, put the shrimp in the freezer and the herbs in the refrigerator. She got out her notepad and started planning the cooking. December 23rd. Make the dough for the sweet potato pie. Bake the crusts and put them in the fridge. December 24th. Make the filling. Assemble the pie and let it set. December 25th. Turkey rehearsal. On the morning of the 31st, chop the salads. In the afternoon, roast the turkey. In the evening, prepare the shrimp and rolls. The plan was clear and achievable. Simone felt confident. Dee came home that evening tired but satisfied. Helped Mom move a cabinet. She's happy, he said, taking off his jacket. That's good. Simone nodded. By the way, Mom said she's coming on the 31st at 6 p.m. She'll stay until midnight. Got it. I'll have the table set by 6. Dee went to the living room. Simone stayed in the kitchen, took out some chicken and started slicing it. She moved automatically, her mind far away. Brenda would arrive at 6, which meant everything had to be ready by then. The table set, the food laid out, the condo clean. Simone wanted Brenda not to find anything to pick at, though she knew she would criticize anyway. That was just her nature. On Sunday, December 22nd, Brenda called early in the morning. Simone, good morning. I was thinking maybe I should help you cook. I'll come over and make something. Simone's blood ran cold. Her mother-in-law in her kitchen during peak preparation was a disaster. Brenda would stick her nose everywhere, criticize every action, and redo everything her way. Thank you, Brenda, but no need. I'll manage. I have everything planned out. Now don't be shy. I'm a great cook. I fed my family my whole life. I can help. I can give you tips. Truly, don't worry about it. I've already prepped almost everything. All that's left is assembly on the day of the party. Brenda paused. If you say so. I just thought maybe you were having a hard time doing it all alone. She paused again. Well, okay. If you don't want me to, I won't push it. Her voice had a hurt tone. Simone sighed. Brenda, I don't want to offend you. It's just easier for me this way. I like to do everything myself according to my plan. I see. So I'm not needed. The aggrieved notes deepened. Well, I guess I'll have to get used to it. Simone said goodbye, hung up, clenched her fists and counted to 10. Every conversation with her mother-in-law turned into a minefield. Whatever she said, it was wrong. It was an offense. Dee came out of the bedroom yawning. Who called? Your mom. She wanted to help with the cooking. Well, let her help. Dee. She'll criticize everything. You know that. Mom just wants to participate. Don't push her away. Simone turned and went into the kitchen. Dee stayed in the living room. She heard him talking on the phone, likely calling his mother back. His voice was conciliatory, soothing. Simone turned on the kettle and stared out the window. Why was Dee always on his mother's side? Why couldn't he defend his wife? Stand up for her? She spent the whole day in the kitchen. She made the dough for the sweet potato pie, rolled out the thin layers and baked the crusts. By evening, the golden discs of pastry were stacked in the kitchen. Simone put them in the fridge, wiped her hands, and felt tired but satisfied. Phase 1 was complete. On December 23rd, she started the custard filling. It was Grandma's recipe. Milk, eggs, sugar, butter. She cooked it over low heat, stirring constantly so it wouldn't burn. The filling came out thick and fragrant. Simone waited for it to cool, then started assembling the pie. She spread the filling on each crust, layering them, and then put the finished pie in the fridge to set. By lunchtime, the pie was ready. Simone looked at the result with satisfaction. It was beautiful, perfectly smooth, just like a picture. Dee would appreciate it. Dee came home at 6 p.m., walked into the kitchen and sniffed the air. What's that? Sweet potato pie. Grandma's recipe. Smells good. Can I try it? No, it needs to set. You can try it on the 31st. Dee smirked. You're strict. Simone smiled. For the first time in days, he was talking to her normally without tension. On December 25th, Simone took a day off work. Her boss approved it without question. Her reports were done and the year-end closing was nearly complete. Simone planned to dedicate the day to the turkey rehearsal. She wanted to perfect the recipe so she wouldn't have to rush on the 31st. She took the turkey out of the fridge, let it thaw, cleaned it, washed it, dried it, and rubbed it with salt, pepper, and spices, leaving it to marinate. While the turkey soaked up the aromas, Simone prepared the stuffing. She sliced apples, mixed them with honey and rosemary, stuffed the bird, sewed it shut, and put it in the oven, setting the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. It would take 2 hours, basting it with its juices every 30 minutes. By evening, the kitchen smelled heavenly. Simone took out the roasting pan and admired the result. The turkey was browned, the skin glistening from the glaze, the apples caramelized in the juice. Gorgeous. Dee came home at 9 p.m., walked into the kitchen and stopped in the doorway. Well, what is that? Rehearsal. Want to try it? Simone cut a slice of turkey, put it on a plate and added some apples. Dee tasted it and nodded. Good. Really good. But isn't it too complicated? Maybe we should make something simpler. I want something special. Your mom will appreciate it. Dee smirked. Something flickered in his eyes, but Simone didn't catch it. He finished the turkey, took his plate away, and went to the living room. Simone stayed to clean the kitchen, washing dishes and putting pots and pans away. Outside, snow was falling. The city was quieting down in a pre-holiday slumber. On December 26th, Brenda Jenkins showed up without warning. Simone opened the door. Her mother-in-law stood on the porch with a bag. Hello, Simone. I baked you some small sweet rolls. I brought them over. Simone silently stepped aside, letting her in. Brenda went to the kitchen, put the bag on the counter and looked around. How's the prep going? All done. Almost. Show me what you bought. Simone opened the refrigerator. Brenda walked over and started examining the contents. The shrimp are kind of small. You should have gotten bigger ones. These are large Argentine shrimp. Well, if you say so. I'm just used to the best. Simone bit her lip and said nothing. Brenda continued to inspect the fridge. You bought expensive cheese. Why waste money like that? I want the table to look nice. Nice doesn't mean bankrupting yourself. You need to learn to save. Simone, protect the family budget. Dee is already carrying the mortgage. Simone felt the heat rising inside her. Does carrying the mortgage? Who paid the down payment? Who hands over more than half of the payment every month? But she stayed silent. Arguing with Brenda was pointless. I calculated everything, Simone said in an even tone. We're well within budget. We'll see. Brenda walked into the living room, stopped by the window and looked at the curtains. These curtains look cheap. You can tell they came from a box store. You should replace them. I like them. Just because you like them doesn't mean they're good quality. Brenda gave a dismissive wave as if to say it's not even worth discussing. Simone got up and carried the mugs to the kitchen. Her hands were shaking with anger. Every visit from her mother-in-law felt like an exam, and she failed it every time. Brenda stayed for 3 hours walking around the condo, giving advice and criticizing the decor. Simone answered only when absolutely necessary. Finally, Brenda got ready to leave. Well, I'm going. Tell Dee I stopped by. And don't be mad, Simone. I only mean well. I just want things to be good for you too. Simone nodded, closed the door behind her, leaned against the frame and breathed out. Means well, sure. That evening Dee came home late. Simone told him about his mother's visit and complained about her behavior. Dee listened half-heartedly, nodding. Don't start, Simone. That's my mother. She worries about us. That's why she keeps offering advice. She's not worried. She's nagging. Don't you hear how she talks to me? I hear it. But what can I do? That's just who she is. Get used to it. Simone stopped talking. Get used to it. That word again. She turned and went to the bedroom. Dee stayed in the kitchen, glued to his phone. Simone lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The lights of the night city flickered outside the window. She thought about the upcoming holiday. She wanted everything to go perfectly. On December 27th, Simone finished the last preparations. She bought the missing items. Mayonnaise, eggs, crab sticks for the salads, seaweed, rice, fish for the rolls, and lemons for the shrimp. She spent another $40. That was it. The money was gone, but the food was bought and the gifts were wrapped. All that was left was to wait for the 31st. Dee was strange during these days, distant and quiet. He came home from work, ate dinner, and immediately disappeared into the living room. He sat on his phone texting someone. Simone tried to talk to him, but he only gave one-word answers. On the evening of December 28th, Dee was sitting in the living room texting. Simone saw him smile as he looked at the screen, quickly typing a message. She walked over and looked over his shoulder. Dee snapped the phone shut. What are you doing spying on me? I'm not spying. I just wanted to ask if you're eating dinner. I will later. Simone stepped away. Her heart was racing. Why had he reacted so sharply? On December 29th, Simone couldn't take it anymore. In the morning after Dee left for work, she grabbed his laptop. He sometimes forgot to log out of his email and messengers. Simone opened the browser and checked his email. Empty. No suspicious messages. She opened his messenger app, chats with his mother, friends, and colleagues. Nothing unusual. But in one of the chat threads, she found a strange message from Brenda. Dee, remember what we agreed? We'll teach her a lesson on the 31st. Make her understand who runs things around here. Simone froze. Teach her a lesson. Who? Her. She reread the message several times. Her hands were shaking. What did that mean? What had they agreed on? She scrolled up, but the previous messages had been deleted. Only that one remained. Simone closed the laptop, sat on the sofa, and held her head in her hands. What was going on? Dee and his mother were planning something. They wanted to teach her a lesson, but why? Her thoughts were spinning. Simone tried to calm down. Maybe she misunderstood. Maybe it was about something else. But an inner voice whispered, "No, it's about you. Something is going to happen on the 31st. Simone stood up and paced the room. She had to prepare. She had to be ready for anything. But ready for what exactly? She sat down at the table, opened the laptop, and brought up a spreadsheet. If they wanted games, they'd get games. Simone was not the type to tolerate silent humiliation. By evening, the document was ready. It was a detailed invoice for every service, every action, every hour spent serving Dee's family. Simone calculated carefully, entering every line item. Housing rental. A one-bedroom condo in the area costs $1,900 a month for a year, $22,800. Utilities, electricity, water, heat, internet, $750 a month for a year, $9,000. Cleaning services. A professional cleaning service costs $100 per visit. Simone cleans 3 times a week, 156 cleanings a year, total $15,600. Meal preparation services. A personal chef costs $150 a day. Simone cooks every day, 365 days. Total $54,750. Laundry and ironing. Laundry service costs 75 cents per pound, about $20 a week. For a year, $780. Household management, grocery shopping, household supplies, organization. A household assistant costs $1,000 a month. For a year, $12,000. Psychological support and tolerance of toxic mother-in-law behavior. Psychotherapist sessions, $300 an hour. The mother-in-law visits twice a week. Visits average 2 hours. 104 visits, 208 hours. Total $62,400. Holiday and event organization. In the past year, does birthday, Brenda's birthday, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, New Year's. Each time Simone cooked, cleaned, and spent her money. Estimated cost $25,000. She checked the numbers. The subtotal was over $200,000. That was too high for her goals. She needed to be brutal but believable. Sticking to the $60,000 target, she condensed the list. Invoice for domestic and emotional labor. 6 months. Line item description rate total USD. Darnell Jackson's share of fair market rent June Deck Fund $900 MO 1142. Darnell Jackson's share of utilities and maintenance $800 MO $463. Domestic services cleaning, cooking, laundry, shopping $60 per day $11,000. Ivor event management 6 holidays/events $500 event $3,000. V psychological hazard pay tolerating toxic behavior $300 AHR for 29 visits $23,000. 6 compensation for initial deposit disparity $80K versus $20K $7,000. Total due $60,000. At the bottom of the invoice, Simone wrote, "Payment is accepted in cash or via bank transfer. Payment is due in 7 days. In case of refusal to pay, services will cease immediately, and a petition for divorce and division of assets will be filed." Simone printed the document, put it in a white envelope, and hid the envelope in her purse. On the 31st she would be ready. On December 30th, Dee came home earlier than usual. "They let us go early. All the deals are closed. We can relax until New Year's." He walked into the living room and threw his bag on the couch. Simone noticed he seemed strained, nervous. He didn't properly say hello or kiss her. He immediately pulled out his phone and stared at the screen. "Dee, is everything okay?" Simone asked. "Yeah, everything's fine," he replied. But his voice sounded unconvinced. Simone moved closer. "Maybe we should talk. You've been acting weird lately. Don't make things up. I'm just tired. It was crazy at work." He got up and went to the kitchen. Simone stayed in the living room watching him go. Something was definitely off. That evening he sat in the living room texting someone. Simone saw him smile at the screen, quickly type a message, wait for a reply, and smile again. She sensed that something unpleasant was going to happen tomorrow. Dee and Brenda planned to teach her a lesson, but Simone was prepared. She had her own plan. December 31st, the day she'd been waiting for. Simone woke up early at 7 a.m. Dee was still asleep. She quietly got up, dressed, and went to the kitchen. The final day of preparation began. Simone took out the groceries and started chopping salads. She moved precisely, following her plan. Candied yams, green bean casserole, 7-layer salad. By lunchtime the salads were ready and in the fridge. Dee woke up at 11 a.m. He came into the kitchen looking sleepy. "Good morning. You want coffee?" Simone asked. "Yeah." She poured him a cup and placed it on the table. Dang silently, not meeting her eyes. "Maybe you could help," Simone asked. "With what?" "You know, setting the table, slicing something. You said you wanted to do everything yourself. You got this." Simone didn't say anything, continuing to cook. Dee finished his coffee, went to the living room and sat down with his phone. By 3:00 p.m. the turkey was done. Simone took it out of the oven and arranged it on a platter, beautiful, golden brown and fragrant. She started on the shrimp, cleaning and marinating them in garlic and lemon, then baking them. She made the homemade sushi rolls, seaweed, rice, fish, cucumber. They came out neat and tidy. By 5 p.m. the table was set. Simone arranged the dishes, lit candles, and laid out the napkins. Everything looked beautiful and festive. She changed into a new dress, did her makeup and hair, and looked at herself in the mirror. She was tired, but she held strong. Dee changed to a dress shirt and jeans. He looked tense and nervous. He paced the living room, checking his phone. Simone retrieved the gift boxes from the closet shelf. The phone for Dee, the boots for Brenda wrapped beautifully. She placed them under the small Christmas tree they had put up in the corner of the room. At 6 p.m. the doorbell rang. It was Brenda Jenkins. Simone opened the door. Her mother-in-law stood on the porch with a small bakery cake in her hands. "Hello and happy almost New Year's." Simone smiled. "You too." Brenda came in, took off her coat, and walked into the living room, looking at the set table. Oh my, so much food. I hope it doesn't go to waste. Simone clenched her fists behind her back and said nothing. They sat down to dinner. Brenda started trying the dishes. The turkey is a little dry. The 7-layer salad is runny. The shrimp are small. Simone listened in silence. Dee was quiet, picking at his salad with a fork. 2 hours passed. They finished dinner and drank tea. Simone cleared the dishes and returned to the table. All right, it's time for presents. Well, time to give out the gifts, Simone said. She stood up, took the boxes from under the tree, and handed the first one to Dee. This is for you. Happy New Year. Dee took the box and unwrapped it. His face lit up with joy for a second. Whoa, the phone. The one I've been wanting. He held the phone, turning it over. Simone saw something flash in his eyes. Was it joy or guilt? Thank you, he said softly. Simone handed the second box to her mother-in-law. This is for you, Brenda. Brenda opened the box, took out the boots, and inspected them. Well, thank you, I guess. I wanted a different style, but fine. These will do. Simone sat down and looked at Dee. Dee, where's my gift? Dee froze. He looked at his mother. Brenda nodded at him. Something wordless passed between them. Dee put the phone down on the table and looked at Simone. His face was strained. Then it started, the moment Simone had prepared for. But even she couldn't have imagined how humiliating it would be. Dee cleared his throat, picked up the phone from the table, turned it over in his hands and looked at Simone. Simone, I didn't buy you a gift. Silence. Simone stared at him, unable to believe her ears. He didn't buy one. What do you mean you didn't buy one? Her voice was quiet. Too quiet. Dee wouldn't look her in the eye. He stared at the table, fiddling with the phone. Mom told me to teach you a lesson, he said. And there was no apology in his voice. She said, you spend too much of our money. You need to understand that the family budget isn't a game. There won't be a gift. Simone was paralyzed. Her brain refused to process what she heard. She had spent her entire salary, bought him a $1,000 phone, bought Brenda $500 boots, and covered the $300 feast, $1,800, dipping into her last bit of savings. And he was saying there would be no gift because his mother ordered it. Brenda Jenkins sat with a smug expression, leaning back in her chair, arms crossed over her chest, looking at Simone triumphantly, like the proud house cat who'd won a small victory. That's right, Dee, she said, sipping her tea. Let her learn to appreciate what she has. She got too big for her britches asking for gifts. She needs to earn it first. Simone sat motionless. Everything inside her had gone cold. No anger, no hurt, just a cold, hard, absolute emptiness. Simone, why are you quiet? Dee chuckled nervously. Come on, we were just joking. Joking? Simone repeated. Her voice was flat, calm, almost unnervingly so. Brenda scoffed. See how sensitive she is? She can't even take a joke. I told you, Dee, she doesn't appreciate what we do for her. Simone slowly rose from the table. Dee tensed up. Simone, where are you going? She didn't answer. She walked to the entryway, picked up her purse, returned to the room and sat back down, placing the purse on her lap. Dee. Brenda, she said quietly. Since you feel I haven't earned a gift, I think we need to reevaluate our relationship. Dee frowned. What are you talking about? Simone opened her purse, took out the white envelope, and placed it on the table in front of Dee. Open it. This is also a gift specifically for both of you. Dee picked up the envelope. Brenda leaned closer, peering over her son's shoulder. Dee opened the envelope, took out the papers and started reading. His face changed. First confusion, then shock, then he went white. Brenda snatched the papers from his hands, scanning the lines. Her mouth fell open. What? What is this? She gasped. An invoice, Simone said calmly. For the services I've provided for the last 6 months. Since you believe I don't deserve respect or gifts, our relationship is now purely business. You will pay for the services. Dee stared at the papers, unable to believe his eyes. $60,000. Simone, are you out of your mind? No. Simone leaned back in her chair. I just calculated the cost. Rent, utilities, cleaning, cooking, laundry, household management, event planning, and a separate line for tolerating your mother's toxic behavior, all at fair market rates. You can check. Brenda jumped up. Dee, are you going to let her talk to us like this? Simone turned to her. Her eyes were cold and hard. Be quiet. I am the owner of this condo. The property is only in my name. I bought it with my own money before the marriage. Dee added a pathetic $20,000 when I put in $80,000. Legally, this is my sole property. Dee went even paler. But we live together. We're family. Family? Simone scoffed. When I was denied a gift and humiliated at the dinner table, were we family? When your mother tried to run my life in my condo, were we family when you paid $900 on the mortgage and I paid $1,850? Were we family? Simone listened to me. Dee reached for her. No, you listen to me. Simone pulled away. 6 months. A whole 6 months I've lived with you both. You've been living in my condo for free. I cook, clean, do laundry, and put up with your mother's constant picking. And this is what I get in return. Humiliation. A lesson that I have to earn a gift. Brenda clutched her chest. Dee, my heart, my blood pressure is rising. How dare she? Sit down. Simone cut her off. Your heart is fine. You were rearranging your furniture just last week. Dee, that cost is over $62,000. To grab the papers, rereading the invoice. His hands were shaking. But where would I get that kind of money? This is $3 million. This is $60,000. You have savings. Simone looked at him calmly. I know you were saving up for a new truck. $45,000 on deposit. I saw the bank statement last month when you left it on the table. You can ask your dear mother for the rest. She's so caring. Or take out a loan. I don't care. Dee opened his mouth, closed it, and opened it again. But Simone, we're husband and wife. How can you do this? I can. Simone stood up. You have 2 options. First, you pay this invoice in full within 7 days. You start treating me with respect and we continue as a family. Your mother stops coming over uninvited and stops criticizing everything. Second option. I file for divorce tomorrow. I evict you, Dee, from my condo and we go our separate ways. Choose. Brenda leaped up. Her face was red. Her eyes bulging. Dee, don't you dare pay her. This is blackmail. Pure blackmail. Divorce that shrew immediately. Simone turned to her. This isn't blackmail. It's justice. You spent a year exploiting my kindness, my patience, and my money. You thought I would tolerate it forever. You thought you could humiliate me and I would stay silent. You. Brenda sputtered with rage. What am I? Simone took a step toward her. I'm a bad daughter-in-law. I don't try hard enough. Look at this table. I cooked for 3 days, spent over $1,800, bought you the boots you wanted, and bought my husband the phone he dreamed of. And what did I get in return? A lesson that I'm not worthy of a gift. Dee sat staring at the invoice. His lips moved as he recounted the figures. Rent $114, utilities $46, domestic $18, event $3. It's all correct, Simone nodded. I checked the market rates multiple times. If you have any doubts, look up any service website. A personal chef is $150 a day. A professional cleaner is $100 a visit. A 1-bedroom condo in this area is $1,900. Do the math yourself. Brenda snatched the papers from Da's hands. Psychological hazard pay for tolerating toxic behavior. You dare call me toxic? I dare. Simone looked her in the eye. Because it's the truth. You came over every day, criticized everything I did, and told me how to live in my own home. You tried to move in, and when I refused, you came even more often. That is toxic behavior. And a therapist costs $300 an hour. You took 28 hours of my life this year. $23,000 is a fair price. Brenda shrieked. Kick her out. This is your condo too. No. Simone shook her head. It's not his. It's only mine. My lawyer explained it to me when I bought it. Property acquired before marriage is not considered marital property. It is mine and mine alone. Dee lives here because I allow it, but I can also choose not to allow it. Dee looked up at her, lost and scared. Simone, would you really kick me out? What did you expect? Simone sat back down at the table. Did you think I would quietly endure the humiliation? You and your mother agreed to teach me a lesson. Yes, I saw the text. On the 29th, I went into your laptop and read your mother's message. We'll teach her a lesson on the 31st. Make her understand who runs things around here. Did you truly think I would just swallow that? Dee went pale. You read that? I read it and I prepared. You wanted to teach me a lesson? You're getting a lesson yourselves. Brenda sank into a chair. Her face was haggard. She looked at Simone with hatred, but remained silent. Dee took the invoice again, reading slowly line by line. Event management $3,000. Simone. But it's normal to cook for a holiday. It's normal when it's done willingly and with gratitude. Simone poured herself a glass of water from the carafe. It's not normal when you're then lectured about it. I cooked for your birthday in June, your mother's birthday in August, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and now New Year's. Every time I spent money, time, and energy, and every time I heard criticism from your mother and never once received a thank you. Only the turkey's dry, the salad's runny, and the shrimp are small. Brenda flinched. I just wanted to offer advice. I didn't ask for it, Simone cut her off. I don't need your advice, just like I don't need your opinion on whether I'm worthy of a gift. Dee put the invoice on the table and covered his face with his hands. Simone, I didn't think you'd take it like this. Mom, she thought you were spending too much. She thought she had to stop you spending too much. Simone smirked. I spend my money. I spend my salary. You spend yours. Or am I supposed to account for every dime to your mother? The family budget, right? Simone raised her voice. You pay $900 on the mortgage. I pay $1,850. You spend $65,000 a month on yourself. I spend about $30,000. The rest goes to food, the house, utilities. Where is the family budget here? I'm the one carrying this family alone. Silence. Dee sat with his head bowed. Brenda stared at the table. So you decide. Simone stood up. You have a week to think it over. Either you pay and we start living normally or we divorce. There is no third option. She grabbed her purse, went to the bedroom, closed the door, and lay on the bed. Her hands were trembling. Her heart was pounding, but inside was an icy conviction. She had done the right thing. She heard voices through the door. Brenda was shouting. Dee was mumbling something. Then the front door slammed. Brenda had left. Simone closed her eyes. January 1st was not starting the way she planned, but exactly the way she deserved. On the morning of January 1st, Simone woke up late at 11 o'clock. It was a bright winter day outside. She got up, washed her face, and went to the kitchen. Dee was sitting at the table with coffee. He looked rumpled, hadn't slept. His eyes were red. Good morning, Simone said. Morning, Dee grumbled. She poured herself coffee and sat opposite him. They were silent. Finally, Dee spoke. Simone, are you serious about the invoice? Absolutely. But that's a huge amount of money. Huge. Exactly how much my services cost for a year. If you hired a cleaner, a chef, a household assistant, and paid my share of the rent, it would actually be more. I even gave you a discount. Dee rubbed his face with his hands. I don't have that kind of money. You're lying. You have $45,000 on deposit. I saw the statement. He was silent, then nodded. Yeah, I was saving for a truck. We'll ask your mother for the rest or take out a loan. Mom won't give it to me. I called her last night. She said. Divorce that shrew then alone. Dee looked up at her. Simone, are you really ready to destroy our family over this? I'm not destroying it. Simone sipped her coffee. You are. You and your mother. You humiliated me. Did you think I would put up with it? I didn't. I didn't want to humiliate you. Mom just insisted. She said it was a lesson for you. A lesson? Simone smirked. Good. The lesson is learned. Now it's my turn to give lessons. And my lesson is simple. Don't mess with me and I won't mess with you. Humiliate me and you'll get it back. I'm not the kind to suffer in silence. Dee was quiet. Then he got up and went to the living room. Simone stayed in the kitchen, finishing her coffee and starting to clear the leftovers from last night's dinner. She put the salads, turkey, shrimp, and pie neatly into containers in the fridge. They hadn't eaten much after she left for the bedroom. Dee hadn't slept all night, tossing and turning on the sofa. Simone washed the dishes and wondered if she had done the right thing. Maybe she had gone too far. $60,000 was a lot. But then she remembered Brenda's smug, triumphant look. She remembered Da's words. Mom told me to teach you a lesson. And all doubt disappeared. No, she had done the right thing. Absolutely the right thing. On January 2nd, Dee was gloomy, barely speaking. He sat in the living room staring at his laptop. Simone didn't bother him. She did her own thing, read a book, watched a show, cooked for herself. In the evening, he came to the kitchen. Simone, I need to go see my mom, talk to her. Go ahead. He left, returning 3 hours later. He looked angry and flushed. She refused to give me the money. She said, let your wife go to work since she's so smart. Simone shrugged. I am working as an accountant. $5,000 a month. Everything's fair. Simone, please understand. Where am I going to get that much money? Not my problem. You have the deposit and you can take out a loan or divorce. The choice is yours. Dee went to the living room and slammed the door. On January 3rd, he spent the whole day online researching loans, interest rates, and terms. Simone saw him doing calculations on his phone, frowning. On January 4th, Brenda called. Simone picked up. Hello, Simone. It's me, Brenda. I'm listening. Do you realize you're destroying a family? Dee, my boy, his whole life. Brenda, Simone interrupted. If you're calling to convince me to drop the invoice, don't waste your time. I won't drop it. Either you pay or I file for divorce. There is no third option. But $3,060,000 is a massive amount. That's exactly how much my services cost for a year. If you don't like it, don't use my services. It's simple. You, Brenda sputtered with rage. Goodbye. Simone hung up. Brenda called again an hour later. Simone didn't answer. Brenda called one more time. Simone blocked the number. On January 5th, Dee didn't leave the living room. He sat there all day on his phone and laptop. Simone didn't disturb him. She cooked for herself, ate and watched movies. In the evening he came out. His face was gray and drawn. Simone, I have my savings, $45,000. I can give you that and the rest. I'll take out a $15,000 loan at 15% interest for 3 years. That's your business. Dee stared at her. Are you really going to force me to do this? Yes, either pay or divorce. You decide. He was silent, then nodded. Fine, I'll pay, but on one condition, which is Mom won't come here anymore without an invitation. And you stop insulting her. Agreed. Simone nodded. But you also stop listening to her advice about our family. Our family is you and me, not her. Dee nodded. Deal. On January 6th, he went to the bank to apply for the loan. He returned in the evening, tired but seemingly resigned. I'll transfer the money tomorrow. $45,000 from savings and $15,000 from the loan. Total $60,000. Good. I'll be waiting. On January 7th, exactly 1 week after their talk, the money arrived in Simone's account. $60,000. She checked, nodded. Received. Thank you. Dee was sitting on the sofa staring at the floor. So now what? Now we live on but by new rules. What rules? Simone sat next to him. Dee, I don't want a divorce, but I will no longer allow myself to be humiliated. Not by you and not by your mother. One more stunt and I will file for divorce. And I will keep this money as compensation for emotional distress. Got it? He nodded. Got it. Your mother can visit, but only by invitation. And she stops criticizing me, my home, my cooking, and my spending. If she can't keep her mouth shut, she doesn't come at all. I'll tell her. And one more thing. Simone looked him in the eye. You're going to start paying more for the condo. Not $900 but $1,200. Fair is fair. Sighed. Fair is fair. Then we have a deal. She stood up and went to the kitchen. Dee remained on the sofa. Simone took out her phone and opened the calculator. $60,000 minus the remaining mortgage balance of $52,000. That left $8,000. That would be enough for renovations or a vacation, or just to put away for a rainy day. She smiled. Yes, she had done the right thing. On January 8th, Dee called his mother. Simone heard the conversation from the kitchen. Mom, I paid her. Yes, $60,000. I took out a loan. Brenda was shouting something into the phone. Dee was silent. Then he said, Mom, this is my decision. Either you behave respectfully, or you don't see us at all. You choose. He hung up. Simone walked out of the kitchen and looked at him. Good for you. Dee nodded. He looked exhausted but somehow liberated. On January 9th, Simone went to work. Colleagues congratulated her on the holiday, asking how she spent New Year's. Simone smiled and answered, well, quietly. Her boss came into the accounting office and wished everyone a happy new year. Simone worked checking reports and entering data. A normal workday. But inside there was something new. Confidence. She was no longer the Simone who suffered in silence. She had set boundaries, protected herself, and won. That evening she came home. Dee was already there cooking dinner, pasta and chicken. Simone was surprised. You're cooking? Yeah. I decided it's time I start helping around the house. She smiled. Thank you. They ate together. They talked about work and his plans for the year. Simone listened. The conversation was normal and calm, something they hadn't had in a long time. On January 10th, Simone transferred $52,000 to pay off the mortgage early. The mortgage was completely closed and the condo was hers without encumbrances. She sat there looking at the bank documents. The mortgage was paid off and the condo was fully owned. $8,000 remained in her account. Dee walked into the room. What are you doing? Paid off the mortgage. He froze. The whole thing? The whole thing? With the money you paid me? Dee sat next to her. So, you didn't even keep it for yourself? No, I spent it on our family, on our future. Now we have no debt. He looked at her. Simone, I am sorry for everything. For my mother, for that evening, for not appreciating you. Simone looked at him. I'll accept your apology if you truly change. If there are no more stunts like that, there won't be. Promise. She nodded. Good. Then we keep living. Simone realized that sometimes you have to be tough. Sometimes you have to give an ultimatum. Sometimes you have to show that you are not a toy. And then everything changes. Dee rested his head on her shoulder. Thank you for not leaving me. Thank you for finding the strength to change. They sat in silence, embracing. A new life lay ahead. A life built on respect, and that was worth more than any money. March brought the first truly warm days. Simone stood by the window with a cup of tea, watching the melting snow in the yard. 2 months had passed since that memorable New Year's Eve. 2 months that had changed their lives beyond recognition. Dee was at work, leaving early and returning in the evening. He started working more after that incident. He wanted to pay off the loan he took out quickly. Every month, $1,200 went to the bank. He still had 3 years to pay, but he never complained once. Simone finished her tea and put the cup in the sink. Her phone rang. Her friend Kendra's name appeared on the screen. Hey Ken. Simone girl. Hey, how are you? What's up? I'm great. Taking it easy. Listen, I remembered your story from New Year's. You told me about it in February. How are things now? Did Dee change or did he backslide? Simone chuckled. No, he didn't backslide. He genuinely changed. He helps around the house. He's not glued to his phone. And he's much more attentive. I can barely believe it. And Brenda, she comes over rarely. And she behaves herself. She only tried to inject her opinion once. And Dee shut her down himself. No kidding. So your method worked. It worked. Simone nodded. Harsh but effective. They chatted for another 15 minutes. Then Simone hung up, went to the living room, and sat on the sofa with a book. Life was settling into a normal, calm rhythm. Falling asleep that night, Simone thought about how everything had changed in 2 months. As if someone had pressed the reset button on their family. Dee was no longer spineless. Brenda had learned to keep her distance, and Simone herself understood. You can love and respect yourself at the same time. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for some mythical family happiness. April was rainy. Simone worked, came home, and tended to the house. They helped cooking dinner, washing dishes, and cleaning the condo. Brenda called once a week, short and polite. One evening in early May, Simone felt unwell. Slight nausea in the mornings, a missed period. She bought a test and took it. 2 lines pregnant. Simone sat on the edge of the bathtub staring at the test. Her heart pounded. A baby. They were going to be parents. Dee came home from work and she silently handed him the test. He looked at it, went pale, then smiled. Seriously? We were going to be parents? Looks like it. He hugged her, holding her tightly. Thank you. Thank you for not leaving me back then. Thank you for giving me a chance to be a father. Simone stroked his back. You changed. You earned this chance. May, June, and July flew by in pleasant anticipation. Simone started seeing a doctor. Her belly slowly rounded. Dee watched over her, carrying her bags and not letting her lift anything heavy. In August they found out the gender. A boy. Dee burst into tears of happiness, right in the ultrasound room. A son. We're having a son. Miles, Simone said. Let's name him Miles. Miles Jackson. That sounds good. In September, Simone took maternity leave and started her time off. At home, she focused on preparing the nursery. Dee bought a crib, a changing table, and a dresser. He assembled the furniture himself and put up light blue wallpaper with clouds. Brenda called, asked permission to visit, and brought a huge bag of baby clothes, onesies, sleepers, bonnets. For my grandbaby, she said. My first grandson. Simone thanked her. Brenda behaved delicately, not offering unsolicited advice. Only once did she say, Simone, the main thing is not to worry during labor. Everything will be fine. Thank you, Brenda. After Brenda left, Simone went to Dee. Your mom really has changed. She realized she was losing me. Something clicked in her that New Year's Eve. She saw that I chose you, and she decided it was better to be a polite grandmother than lose her son completely. Simone nodded. Sometimes people need a harsh lesson to understand simple things. October, November. Her belly grew huge. It was hard to walk and uncomfortable to sleep. Simone counted the days until labor. December. New Year's was approaching again, a year since that memorable evening. Simone stood by the window watching the falling snow. Labor was a month away. One more month and their lives would change forever. Dee hugged her from behind, putting his hands on her belly. What are you thinking about that evening? The $60,000 invoice. How pale you were when you saw the numbers. Dee chuckled. I thought you'd gone crazy and then I realized you were the only sane one of us all. Do you regret paying? Not a single bit. It was the best money I ever spent. Saved our family. Simone turned to him. You saved us. You found the strength to change. On December 31st, they celebrated at home without guests, without Brenda, just the two of them. Simone couldn't stand for long, so she made simple dishes. Dee helped setting the table. At midnight, they clinked glasses of sparkling cider. Happy New Year, my love. Happy New Year. Dee put his hand on her belly. Happy New Year, Miles. We'll meet you soon. Simone smiled. A year ago, she sat at the table with her husband and mother-in-law, listening to humiliation. Today, she sat in her debt-free condo with a loving husband, pregnant with her son. Everything had changed because she wasn't afraid to say, enough. On January 10th, early in the morning, Simone woke up with contractions and nudged Dee. It's starting. He jumped up, frantic, grabbing the hospital bag, the documents, the keys. Easy. Simone took his hand. We have time. The contractions are still far apart. They drove to the hospital. Labor lasted 8 hours. It was hard, but Simone held on. When she heard her son's first cry, she wept with joy. A boy 8 pounds 2 ounces 20 in long, the nurse announced. They placed Miles on Simone's chest, warm, wet, and wailing. She held him close. Dee came in an hour later, walked to the bassinet, and looked at his son. His eyes were red. Hey Miles, I'm your daddy. Simone watched them, knowing this moment was worth going through everything for. They were discharged from the hospital 3 days later. Brenda Jenkins was waiting by the entrance with a bouquet of roses and a teddy bear. Congratulations. Can I see my grandson? Simone nodded. Brenda peeked into the car seat and gasped. He's a handsome boy. Looks just like Dee when he was a baby. At home, Brenda helped put the baby down. She went to the store, made dinner, and then left, promising to visit on Saturdays to help. She kept her word, coming once a week to watch Miles while the new parents rested, and she behaved respectfully. One day in February, while Brenda was rocking her grandson, Simone asked, Brenda, why did you change? The mother-in-law was quiet for a moment. That New Year's Eve, I saw the look in Da's eyes. He looked at me with disappointment, like he was really seeing me for the first time, and I got scared. I realized I was losing my son. You gave him a choice and he chose you. And that was right. You are strong. You wouldn't let yourself be broken. And Dee is happier with you. Simone felt a lump in her throat. Thank you for saying that. I truly wish you both happiness. They hugged for the first time. The months flew by. Miles grew, smiled, and cooped. Dee helped out, getting up with their son at night, rocking him and changing diapers. Spring turned into summer, summer to fall, and fall to winter. In January of the following year, they celebrated Miles's first birthday. They invited friends and family. Brenda baked a cake. Guests congratulated them and gave gifts. Simone cut the cake. Dee took pictures of his son. In the evening after the guests left, they sat on the sofa, the three of them. Miles was falling asleep in Simone's arms. You know what I'm thinking, Dee said. If someone had told me a year ago that I would be this happy, I wouldn't have believed them. I would have believed it. Simone stroked her son's head. Because I fought for this happiness and I won. We won together. Together. Simone closed her eyes, remembering that New Year's Eve 18 months ago. She remembered her feelings, the anger, the hurt, the determination. She remembered pulling out the envelope, placing it on the table, and how their faces had gone pale. She didn't regret it once because sometimes you have to be tough. Sometimes you have to set boundaries. Sometimes you have to say, I won't tolerate this. And then everything changes. Family becomes stronger. The relationship deepens and love grows stronger. Simone opened her eyes and looked at her husband. I love you. I love you too. Miles sighed softly in his sleep. Dee smiled. The sun was setting outside the window. Everything was good. Everything was right. And Simone knew they had been through fire and water, through a crisis, a scandal, and almost a divorce. But they had stood firm. They had become stronger. Her method had worked. Harsh, ruthless, but effective. She hadn't let herself be a victim. She had set boundaries, protected herself, and gained happiness. The happiness she fought for, the happiness she earned, the happiness that cost $60,000. But in reality, it was priceless. I'm really glad you're here and that I could share my story with you. If you liked it, show me by liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Let's see how many of us there are. Write in the comments which city you're watching from and what time it is. I'm so curious to know where all you wonderful people are tuning in from. If you want to support me a little extra, you can also send a small donation. I share new life stories for you every single day. And now 2 of my most popular stories will pop up on the screen so you can choose what to watch.